It's war. Trump has formally notified Congress. It's a nightmare. We'll talk about it coming up in just a bit. The bison tossed grandpa. You remember him? We talked about him yesterday. He's speaking out and he's okay. So, a little follow up. And yet another absolutely incredible dog. You've seen dogs run these obstacle courses? You have never seen one like this, trust me. Trust me. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Oh, happy Tuesday. It is indeed Tuesday. Tuesday, as my mom would say. She always pronounced the end of the days of the week D instead of day. It's Saturday. That's another weird one. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't know why. I think it was maybe her Torrington accent. Maybe that's where it came from. Torrington, Connecticut, a very small city, population about, well, when I lived there, it was about 33,000. But I don't know, has it grown since then? Maybe. All right. We're live on Rumble. We're live on YouTube. Please follow or subscribe, whichever channel you're watching us on. We appreciate that. It's free, no cost, helps the show. You can give us a like, thumbs up too on both platforms. And of course, if you want to make a comment, we love hearing from you. Unless you're one of these spam bots that say, hey, did you see that comment on yesterday's show? I delete them, of course. But it's like, hey, I saw your show and I think it's great, but there's a few places where I could probably help you improve. And if you contact me, leave me alone. Go away. No, thank you. Unbelievable. All right. What? Oh, you know what? I meant to ask you. Maybe you know. If you do, put it in the chat. Uh, I have jumping spiders in my back area, and I love them. They don't bite. They're incredibly adorable. If you ever want, look up on YouTube, look up jumping spiders. You'll see what I mean. They're tiny, tiny little spiders. You see them in your house and in your gardens. Perfectly harmless, absolutely adorable. And I want to have one as a pet. So I have bought a small little enclosure and I'm going to all set it up like a terrarium and then catch one of my native little jumping spiders here and put it in. But I have to feed it. And when they're that small, the only thing really small enough would probably be like fruit flies. So much as we don't like fruit flies, I have to find a way to attract them. So I bought some oranges, little mandarin oranges, and I ate half. And then I put half in this plastic container. I left the peels and the orange segments in there. It's just been a day. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But I actually read somewhere online that bananas are the best way to attract fruit flies. So maybe I'll have to pick up a banana. I don't know. If you know anything about attracting fruit flies, what's wrong with you? Anyway, all right, back to some serious stuff, and it is serious. Trump has formally notified Congress the U.S. Iran conflict has reignited. You knew it was going to happen, and here we go. And the 60-day countdown starts right now. U.S. military pounding the Islamic Republic for the third straight night. It's been revealed that Trump sent a letter to Congress on Friday. We're only just finding out about it. And he was notifying lawmakers that the U.S. is again officially at war with the mullahs. That is not the same thing as him asking Congress for a formal declaration of war. What it is an effort to try and comply with the rather controversial 1973 War Powers Act. That letter, which we only got a copy of yesterday, multiple news outlets say it gives his administration another 60-day clock to battle with the Iranians without getting congressional approval. You can expect Democrats in Congress to start, lighting their hair on fire and clutching their pearls and screaming and yelling, because they maintain the war really started February 28th with the opening salvo of Operation Epic Fury. And Trump just can't unilaterally restart the clock. That's what they say. This new set of strikes, which began on the 8th, which was about 7 days ago or 6. Anyway, it ramped up big time on Saturday following Iran's repeated attacks on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. These idiots will not stop. But you have to realize something. They don't care. They are happy to die for what they believe is a righteous, just cause. They do not care. The mindset, which is not something most of us can wrap our brains around, is completely different. Completely. The war is a military action consistent, he writes, Trump, with my responsibility to protect Americans and the United States' interests both at home and abroad. Now, we told you yesterday that Trump put the pressure on Iran, said the strait is under U.S. control, container ships passing through, the blockade of Iranian ports back in business. Maybe our new name should be the guardian angel of the straits. He also threatened to seek reimbursement from wealthy countries to pay us back, basically for all the security we're spending money and, in some cases, lives that we provide in this incredibly crucial waterway. He says, we're going to be reimbursed because the other nations are very wealthy and they're on our side. We guarded the strait for 50 years more and we never got paid for it. And now we're guarding it again, and we're going to get paid for guarding it. A lot of money. But we just want to be reimbursed for doing all this and for putting our people in danger. He declared a truce in April after both countries agreed to negotiate in good faith. Eventually, they hashed out a memorandum of understanding. The president declared the MOU is null and void July 8th. The IRGC continues to attack commercial ships. Trump lashed out at the regime. He says, to me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore, but they're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people, and they're vicious, violent people. And so it continues. Stay tuned. This is going to be a mess. June, last month, the House passed a war powers resolution that limited Trump's ability to wage war against the Iranians. But the Senate has repeatedly shot these efforts down. A bill has never reached the president's desk. Be rather interesting if it did, because it would very likely set off kind of a power struggle. A lot of scholars, the president himself, believe the 73 War Powers Act is unconstitutional because it infringes on the president's Article 2 powers as the commander-in-chief. Nixon initially vetoed it for exactly that reason, but Congress overrode him, and now it's the law. We shall see. Things are going to get messy. Promise you that. Have you heard about the flooding in Missouri? I'll bet you haven't. Absolutely historic floodwaters are hitting New Jersey, Missouri. 2,000 rescues, camp evacuations, massive emergency response. One person remains missing. All this going on in southeastern Missouri, and nobody is covering it. Nobody. I'm covering it because you need to know. Take a look at this.
Rapidly rising waters left widespread damage to camps, roads, and homes across southeast Missouri. Now emergency crews are left working around the clock to help the affected communities. Governor Mike Kehoe has declared a state of emergency. The National Guard has been deployed, and Missouri Task Force 1 is joining the response. The hardest hit areas include Crawford, Iron, and Reynolds counties. Some areas got a foot of rain, and more is falling tonight. We begin at 10 in a weather impact alert. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell. And Scott, minutes ago we learned I-70 between Riverview and Union were flooded in the city. How much more rain can we expect tonight?
Well, I think most of us in the metro area are seeing that rain kind of wind down right now. Off to the south and east, we still have some heavy rainfall. We look southeast of St. Louis, you still have stronger thunderstorms here across Randolph County and into southern portions of Monroe and southern portions of St. Clair County. So there we have a current flash flood warning. So those are the areas where the flooding is more prominent, more impactful. That runs until 3:30 tomorrow morning. Now, we do have flood advisories around a good chunk of the metro area. We have had some urban flooding. The good news is the areas farther south of St. Louis that dealt with the catastrophic flooding in the wee hours this morning are not seeing much in the way of rain right now. Until midnight, there will still be some downpours with some of these thunderstorms, especially east and south of St. Louis. Winds could gust 30 to 40 miles per hour. But there is some good news. The severe thunderstorm watch that was in effect has been canceled and will not go through the remainder of the night. So that's good. So just stay aware. The flood watch does stay up. I think that's going to be our biggest concern, to see if there's any additional heavy rain down here in the areas that saw that 6 to 10 inches of rain. That could be a problem here into the overnight hours. As a reminder, on the live radar 24/7, it's always streaming on the 5 on Your Side app. You wake up in the middle of the night, it's thundering, you'll see what's happening on the radar by going to our app.
All right, Scott. 12 inches of rain in 12 hours prompted several rescues today. The rain pushed the Black River to a historic 28 feet. We have learned from Governor Mike Kehoe that crews conducted more than 200 water rescues across the region. Others had to be airlifted to safety, like hundreds of children from nearby camps. Helicopters flew many of them to Arcadia Valley Elementary School. At least 20 people had to be saved when a camp building collapsed just south of Lesterville. Everyone who was missing in Reynolds County has been accounted for, but getting to them has not been easy.
Wow. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. Insane. That is a mess. Southeastern Missouri. Keep an eye. No doubt FEMA needs to get it in gear and get their ass down there and start helping, because it's a nightmare. And like I said, nobody's covering this. It is a huge weather event, and you don't see it or hear about it anywhere. New York's tax the rich scheme has pretty much blown up in their face, and I love it. The rather shocking cost of New York's tax the rich experiment has finally been exposed. If you live in New York, the city in particular, but New York in general, I just have one question. Why? Why would you choose to live there? Oh, my family, my friends are all here. Bring your family with you. You can make new friends. Move to Florida. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the lack of any particular taxes. I gotta believe if you're staying, you're enjoying the pain. New York has spent years now very, very aggressively taxing their wealthiest residents, all in the name of fairness. And the results are now in. Suffice to say, it ain't pretty. America's millionaires, according to the Citizen Budget Commission, the state share in New York of American millionaires has dropped off the cliff since 2010. Nearly an $11 billion tax shortfall in a single year. Why? Easy answer. High earners are quietly packing up and headed off to lower tax states, which is what you should be doing. The analysis shows New York's share of millionaires fell from 12.7% in 2010, 12.7 in 2022, 8.7%. That's 4% for those of you keeping count at home. The personal income tax collections in 2022 alone were roughly $10.7 billion lower than they otherwise would have been if they'd maintained their share of wealthy folks. But they're not. That study makes it really clear that people leave. They pay a disproportionately large scale of taxes in the state taxes I'm talking about, which makes an enormous hole in the budget. What's wrong with you people in politics that you can't see this? Or do you just not care because your salaries are paid by those same taxpayers? Jack Wolsack, economist, provides numbers that absolutely back up this notion. In New York, he says the top 1% of earners pay about 45% of all state income taxes in any given year. New York's revenue absolutely relies heavy on these high earners staying in New York. And that's been a challenge in recent years. They ain't staying. So you can tax the rich all you like. You forget it's a free country, and if you're going to screw with them, they're going to move, and you are going to lose. They're not losing. In fact, they're gaining. Tangible evidence that this bullshit tax the rich mantra does not yield higher revenues. Public services for lower income families does not improve general infrastructure. It's actually taking money away from the state and those residents, like what I just mentioned, that could benefit from it. It's not there anymore. It's gone. 10.7 billion gone in 1 year. Taxing the rich is a platform for the economically illiterate. Unfortunately for the empire state, the economically illiterate hold very significant positions in government, like Kathy Hochul, Zohran Mamdani. And Democrats aren't making the rich pay their fair share. They're shooting themselves in the foot, and apparently they enjoy it. When you get done with your left foot, start on your right. He went on to say the state general consensus is that New York is not done raising taxes. And it won't be surprising, he says, if higher earning taxpayers relocate, which would, you'd have to assume, lead to billions more in lost revenue. Just makes sense, don't it? Now, given the chance to address these numbers, the situation, Mamdani did what most blue cities or blue state politicians do. He blindly doubled down on the ignorance. Here's what he had to say to reporters. You'll love this. The wealthiest can do a little bit more to ensure that everyone can afford to live here. And the little bit more we're talking about, the PATRIOT tax. It's a tax on non-resident New Yorkers' secondary homes that are worth more than $5 million. I think that's common sense, and most New Yorkers feel the same way. I look forward to continuing to advance the vision of our city. Well, Zoran baby, Kathy baby, just so's you know, New York ranks dead last in competitiveness. Last place. According to the Tax Foundation senior state policy analyst Abir Mandel, argues that New York's higher taxes are driving businesses and high income earners to more tax-friendly states, and he warns it will get worse. In addition to this unbelievable tax burden they're smashing these wealthy people with, New York's rent controls, energy costs through the roof, aggressive green mandates, which are insane, and a mountain, Everest-sized mountain of red tape just makes things that much worse. Democrat policies are driving people and businesses away and turning what should be a great, unbelievably successful economic engine into a slow motion financial disaster, which sadly has absolutely no end in sight. Knock yourselves out. Knock yourselves out. Oh, man. Oh, damn, that's good. And yes, that's the cue for Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is all done in-house. They are an American company. They work with local co-ops and American farmers to grow the best beans on the planet. They only pick the graded 80 points or above on a 100-point scale. Specialty coffees grown at the perfect altitude, best time of year, perfect soil, and they are harvested at just the right time. Blackout Coffee offers you all kinds of roasts, different flavors, cold brew, instant, and you can not only get the beans roasted, but you can have them ground for you if you don't have a way to grind your own beans. Absolutely convenient and absolutely delicious. Blackout Coffee, roasted, packed, and shipped with lightning speed, usually 24 to 48 hours, which is amazing. And they are an incredible American company that makes a fantastic product. You use the link down in our description down below, right down there. You pull down that menu and you'll see the Blackout Coffee link. Try a bag, a single bag, pick your favorite roast and try one and use the code J20, J-A-Y-20. That'll get you 20% off your first order at Blackout Coffee. They've always got specials going on over there also. Save yourself a bunch of dough. And try it. Try it. Let me know. I know you're going to love it. I do. It's all I drink now. The only coffee allowed in this house is Blackout Coffee. Not just because they're a sponsor, because it's the best coffee you will ever try. I promise you will love it. All right. What else we got? Oh, yeah. You remember yesterday with the story about the grandpa, 82 years old, who got tossed like 8 feet in the air by the bison? he finally has spoken out and says, I'm okay. Over the weekend, if you didn't see the story yesterday, the grandfather in Yellowstone National Park, who became the target of a rather enraged bull bison. A lot of people get themselves in these kind of predicaments by being careless, being stupid. Apparently, not this time. The man in question, identified now as 65-year-old Carl Ison McDonald, did nothing to provoke the animal. And I showed you the videotape. That appears to be true. He didn't approach it too closely. He didn't appear to make any sudden moves. And when the animal charged, it looks like he was trying to distract it from his grandson. Now, that is a heck of a guy right there, because these bison ain't small. Mr. McDaniel has now earned his man card for the rest of his life. Banged up, but we learned yesterday he's resting well despite his injuries, reached out on social media to let his ever-increasing legions of admirers know that he's okay. Kendall, Washington is where Carl is from. He broke his femur in 4 places after being tossed by this bull bison. He remains in the hospital, but he's recovering from being thrown about 8 feet off the ground and landing really hard. Sunday posted a brief note on that platform that I'm not on anymore, Facebook, scum of the earth. He said, "Thank you, everyone. I'm okay." Photographer from the Bozeman, Montana area, Mike McLeod, said he's been in contact with McDaniel's grandson, who was with him when this thing happened. Said the family seems to be protecting their privacy. Don't want to pry any more than I already have. So, do we? Yeah, we do. Let's cut to it and watch that again, because it's fascinating. Absolutely incredible. Where is our sound? Do we have sound? I don't hear the sound. That's okay. I'll narrate. You can see a couple of people. That's actually, it looks short because of the focal length of the camera, but there is actually quite a distance between that bison and these people. So these people, after they got their picture, said, okay, I think I've had enough. Then the bison decides he's going to go on a rampage. Now you see is it the green shirt guy? Yeah, there he is. This grandpa who is running like hell to try and avoid this bison. This guy, the bison, is just pissed. He will attack anything. Now watch grandpa running through the trees trying to get away, and then boom. Ow. Ow. Man. The warning sign's very clear. The beast shaking its head, lashing its tail, all signs of agitation. Tail goes straight up. Surefire way to know, if you happen to be out in an area with bison, that it is in target acquisition mode. And unfortunately, Carl, for reasons unknown, became the target. Look, if you're going to head out into the wild country that has wild animals, nature, you have to be careful and cautious. Big critters are dangerous. While it's common for knuckleheads to get banged up, sometimes, even if you do everything right, you still get hit. So you have got to be careful. By the way, just so you know, an adult bull plains bison can stand way over 6 feet at the shoulder and can weigh up to 3,000 pounds. That's a ton and a half. They're fast too. You saw in the video. An adult can run up to 40 miles an hour. You cannot. You get inch thick skin, matted black hair, very nearly armor, and the big hooked murder spikes in their head. Very, very dangerous critters indeed. Great to know that Carl is recovering, doing well. But folks, please go enjoy our national parks, celebrate America 250. But while you're out there, please don't be stupid. Respect these animals. You will get hurt, I promise you, if you don't respect them. You gotta be careful. Gotta be. We do have an amazing country full of unbelievable nature. I, sadly, in the time I was living in America, never traveled. I was always an East Coast boy. Born, grew up in Connecticut, moved for about 5 years down to Key West in Florida, and then moved here to Malaysia. So the only time I was on the West Coast was taking a flight out of LAX on a stopover. One in Seattle, stopover flight. Waited at the airport for an hour and then got another plane headed for the Southeast Asia. And the same thing in LA. I wish I had taken the time to actually see America, the Grand Canyon, the Grand Tetons, the absolutely amazing natural parks that we have. We have them, they're incredible, and hopefully you don't be like me. Make sure you make the time. Get your family out there. Enjoy. All right. A very unbelievable, sad story. Duffy has unloaded on liberal radical leftists yet again. Another illegal alien truck driver who should never, ever have been on the road crashes and kills a Pennsylvania trooper. This is a story, my friends, we have heard way too often. The illegal alien who made an illegal U-turn on a highway in Florida in August of 2025 crashed and killed 3 people. This accident, caused by Jahanpreet Singh in California in October, resulted in 3 fatalities. The horrific death of a newlywed couple in a crash caused by a trucker in Oregon, November, same year. Driver, an Indian national in the U.S., illegally, who got his commercial driving license in Gavin Newsom's California. And now, sadly, I know this will not be the last time I tell you these kind of stories. Would love it to be, but it ain't gonna happen. And this happened again. Could be prevented if all these lefty politicians just applied something they very often seem rather unfamiliar with: common sense. Huh? The man who was apparently behind the wheel of a tractor trailer struck and killed a Pennsylvania State Police trooper in a crash in Schuylkill County Wednesday last week has been charged with homicide and other crimes. Thursday, they announced Michael Bond, 33, from Brockton, Mass., with homicide by vehicle, involuntary manslaughter, reckless driving, and related offenses after Pennsylvania State Trooper Michael E. Pahira Jr. lost his life Wednesday morning when he was struck doing a vehicle safety inspection along Interstate 81. According to the police, 44-year-old Pahira passed away after a tractor trailer driven by this illegal alien struck the trooper as he was conducting this inspection of a commercial vehicle. NBC report fails to mention a rather salient fact. Bon, the driver, is here illegally. But that's today's media for you. That's how they do. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, speaking out, told viewers on Fox News Monday that blue states like Massachusetts could work to prevent tragedies like this, but instead they actively work against solutions. They don't want to know about it. Duffy said, when I changed the rules, I was sued by states like Massachusetts. And if they hadn't sued me and a judge hadn't paused us, that man would never have had a license. And Trooper Pahira would still be alive. Duffy said requiring drivers to be proficient in English, able to understand road signs, an absolute no-brainer. But Democrats and lefties don't see it that way. In the Bay State, they'd rather work on flouting the federal government and protecting their own citizens. They just don't give a shit. Duffy didn't hold back describing the politicians and the judges who just don't give a rat's butt that drivers behind the wheel of huge semis do not understand road signs. They can't speak the language. They're liberal, radical leftists. He said, they're fighting us every step of the way. We might disagree on immigration and how many people should come in the country, but every single, whether it's a governor or a representative, congressman, senator, should be supporting us, of course, because it's the safety of making sure the American people are going to be okay on the roads. And frankly, they do nothing but fight every step of the way, which is exactly at the heart of what is wrong with the progressive philosophy on governance. They'd rather put ideology over you and mine's safety. It's folks like Trooper Pahira and his entire family who sadly now pay the price. That price is far too high. If you are an Ivy League student, at the minimum, don't you think probably you should be able to read? Well, guess what? I, I can't believe this. An increasing number of Ivy League students cannot read. So I'll tell you what, first of all, let's stop calling them elite, okay? You ain't elite if you can't read. When a Harvard student, Harvard, needs ChatGPT to help him read a novel, it's rather clear that American high schools are not teaching students how to read. A news story in the Atlantic, not the best source of information, but let's go with it, shows a decline in literacy, telling the story of a Harvard student having trouble in class. Assistant Director for Humanities and Social Sciences Support, Margaret Rennicks, said the student came to her and said that he was using AI to translate Anthony Burgess's A Clockwork Orange into easier language. Rennicks told The Atlantic the student was confused by what the student called Old English. This Clockwork Orange was published in 1962. Unlike actual Old English texts like Beowulf, some colleges still assign that. A Clockwork Orange, written in English. Fictional Russian-based slang called nadsat. Nadsat is not impossible to read, however. A lot of internet sources contain dictionaries with words that are used in the text. Renix explained some students view reading in the modern age by asking them, this is her, by asking them to read, professors are arbitrarily withholding information from students by forcing them to get through it with the more difficult medium. What? This is a crisis, my friends. This is not, you know, the University of Eastern Northern Hoople at Wensed. This is Harvard, and their students cannot read. New York Times did a study, found that high schoolers were reading very few full books and less every year. One or two max. And rather than assigning like full books, teachers would instead assign little excerpts from texts, hoping at least the students would read them. And of course, they don't have to actually physically hold and turn pages and read a book. They're probably all doing it on their Kindle. If they can do it at all. A Harvard student, and not the only one, who just simply cannot read. That's where we are. Saturday in the park. Time to get out with the family. Maybe your kids are riding around on their little bicycles. Somebody's still got the training wheels on them, having a good time, maybe even a picnic in the park. Unless, of course, you happen to be in Portland. A naked man snatched a child, and there wasn't a cop anywhere in sight. Now, after the details sunk in and the revulsion wore off a bit, what happened in Portland, Oregon over the weekend settled into a low drone case of the SADS. Oh, you got the SADS. Here we are, the new normal. The communist DSA city councilors, the woke mayor, his protester-loving police chief, and their kind virtue signaled Portland, Oregon, into the slovenly, low expectation, burnished turd of a place that it has turned into today. First, the cop shop usually sends out press releases on only the crimes most Portland people agree are, bad or high priority to Portlanders. So you know that automatically limits things a lot. For example, Portland has decided that teens who conduct street takeovers are bad actors. They're obviously a pain in the ass. They block traffic, they scare kids. Somebody usually winds up getting hurt. Official Portland really hates street takeovers, and everybody gets behind the police efforts to stop them. Usually these incidents followed up by a police press release recounting how many cars got towed. Sometimes they have Photos of crunched up Nissans. Everybody's a hero. You get it? Well, not long ago, the Portland Police Bureau sent out a press release about a bad guy caught on Skid Row for selling drugs he shouldn't have had. Drug dealers, of course, are very antisocial. Everyone agrees. You get a look at the photo that came along with the press release? No, not a photo of the bad guy we should be watching out for when they inevitably let him out of jail without bail. Ever since Antifa started getting caught, mugshotted, released, Andy No started showing their faces. And guess what? Portland stopped releasing mugshots to the public. Mugshots. Bad. We did get a photo, though. We got a look at the bad guy's booty. The drug leader may have had, say, 8 $1 bills in the photo. He was a high roller. Meanwhile, Antifa and drug addicts who populate the streets with impunity, make everyone afraid, left the city as this fostering toilet that it is. Here's a fun fact. The arrest of a female Portland drive-by shooter, Isis Simone Irving, in a politically and possibly racially motivated hate crime committed against a group of conservatives last February. You know how many charges she's been hit with? You're right. None. 0. It was only after the gun was readied, aimed, and fired at the Donald Trump supporters that they realized it was a pellet gun. Pull a gun and not shoot it to ward off an onslaught of Antifa members coming to attack you for a second time? Oh, that'll get you thrown in jail in Portland. Oh, yeah. Hey, is there a bomb in that dumpster being rolled by Antifa protesters in front of the ICE facility in southwest Portland? Well, apparently the answer is, why, yes, there actually is.
Oh, shit. I thought it was like a motorcycle gang or something. Jesus. I thought that was the rumble of like engines. I thought it was like motorcycles or something coming around the corner. There's something burning at the gate. I think they're candles. ICE agents.
Unfreaking believable. So here we are, mid-July, high tourist season, to the extent Portland has a tourist season anymore. And out comes a press release from Portland Police over the weekend that actually was kind of a shocker about an incident that happened near Tom McCall Park along the Willamette River in downtown Portland. The area's beautiful. Some wayfish men, matted hair, soiling themselves, bent over the fentanyl field folds. Apparently, dispatchers from the Bureau of Emergency Communications notified Portland police that a man was seen running around naked in the 1000 block of Southwest NATO Highway. Oh, a naked man? The release continued, and So we might get a TikTok out of how many outraged people called a naked man running around downtown Portland. Well, not quite. 6:55, dispatch advised officers that another caller stated the man tried to punch them in the head. It read, in other words, the only call at first came from someone who was angry that a man tried to punch him in the head. Being naked was the description of the perp. Appreciate, if you will, the mess of Portland and the fact that public nudity has apparently just been normalized in the city. In fact, this is the city that holds its once a year naked bike ride. Remember seeing those ridiculous pictures? So here we are being told about this naked man seen at 7:03 p.m., still light out in Portland in July. And then a third caller who reported that the suspect grabbed a young girl and pulled her away from her mother. Dispatchers sent officers to the North Precinct, and when they arrived, they located the suspect naked, wading in the Willamette River, and they arrested him. Now hold up. The naked man did what? He tried to kidnap a 7-year-old girl, got into a tug of war with the mom. It got so bad, police say the child was lifted into the air. Fortunately, the mom and her husband were nearby. They were out from their town. Any Portlander can tell you that after the disgusting naked man tried to take their kid, they'd be arrested, and the naked guy would probably walk free. And that's only a slight exaggeration to be truth. Here's the rest of this press release. The child's mother, father, and bystanders jumped in, punching, slapping, and pulling on the suspect, which prompted him to release the girl. One bystander deployed an irritant spray at him, trying to keep him away from people and prevent him from trying to continue to commit crimes. The victim and her family told officers they were tourists visiting Portland from out of state. If someone had had a pistol, this would have been a good shoot. Absolutely. Fill the guy full of holes. It's Lucky's, all they had was chemical spray, probably OC spray. Arrested, book thrown at him, usually enough. But cops complained about too few police on the job, got a few wrinkles there. The press release explained no police could respond until several minutes later because there were no available central officers, and all police officers were busy with other calls, including an incident involving a disturbance with a gun, and none were available to respond. Well, isn't that nice? So, while earlier I was encouraging to go out and enjoy America, I would also encourage you that Portland, or probably almost anywhere in Oregon, ain't the place to go. One more. Where are we? Hold on. What is that? What did I just do? I don't know. Okay. All right. Hold on. Have you ever seen those videos of these dogs that go through the obstacle course? And they're like back and forth and back and forth. They run up the seesaw and it goes down and through. This dog does this obstacle course, and I've watched this more than once. This footage is not sped up. This dog is absolutely incredible. Watch this.
16-inch class is Pink, the Border Collie, owned by Jennifer Crank from Pickerington, Ohio. The party's starting tonight. That is it.
Watch this.
Never make it difference. There's own chapters up ahead right there.
Wow. Holy crap. Did you see when it was going through the post like that? Zoom, 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 zoom. Like I said, that was not sped up footage. That was live. And that little puppy, look at this guy. Absolutely amazing. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. I love it. Thank you, folks. That's it for Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow for the Wednesday edition. Really, truly appreciate your being here. Please follow, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube or on Rumble, it's follow. On YouTube, it's subscribe. It's free. It just gets the word out there. We do not have a marketing budget around this show, so we need your help, and it's free to hit that follow button. You want to share the show out there, that's even better. But all that's free too. So thank you. Our links are all down in our description, including our PayPal account if you want to make a donation to keep the show running for free. And that's it. That's all. We'll see you again tomorrow.